Hello. All right, I am Natalie from Artful Transformations. Most of you probably know that because you're probably getting this in an email for watercolor month, which I have deemed March of 2024. Doesn't really mean that that's a thing, but that's what I'm focusing on this month in my emails to you all. This morning, I am going to show you an exercise that I learned from a watercolorist in Australia named Jane Blundell. I took her master watercolor class, and you can find her online and take that class also. It was a fabulous course. Very, very comprehensive, very helpful to kind of get you pretty far in watercolors and a very quick return. So one of the things that she started us out with, which I really enjoyed, was creating watercolor swatches, but in a different sense. So instead of doing an actual swatch, which of course we did, this is the book that was dedicated to her class, we did a watercolor swatch also, but along the way, when we were trying to learn some blending techniques and some water control, she enlisted this exercise, and it's actually a really awesome exercise for figuring out the colors that you can make from your pan, as well as brush control, water control, and just having this really awesome array of references to go back to whenever I want to create one of these colors for a piece. I can just scroll through this book here and I can find all kinds of different shades and tints of the colors that I want, and then go back to the colors that originated them. So what we're going to do is just a fraction of what I've got here, because I do have these for, I think, 3 different palettes. Pans, 3 different pans. So, yeah, so we're not going to obviously do all of these, but just know that you can go through your entire pan, or however many pans you have, and do this exercise, and that's going to give you this awesome reference, 1, and 2, it's going to help you build those techniques. Oh, sorry. And hone your skills in. So this is just a watercolor book. Sorry, excuse me. I'm pretty sure I found it on Amazon. It just has watercolor paper in it. I think there's only like maybe 20 or 30 pages in here, some of which I haven't got to, and some of them obviously I've kind of shoved in here. So not really sure what brand. It just has a little emblem of a rooster on the back that says 1904, I think. So that's definitely something that you could work in if you wanted to keep them all together. Otherwise, this morning I'm going to be working on this loose 5x7, just to give you an idea of what I'm doing. So the other tools that I have this morning, I have a flat brush. This is a number 8. I just grabbed the first one that I saw. I wasn't really paying much attention. I probably would, if you're working with the book, a 1/4 inch flat would probably be a little bit better, smaller, or you can work with rounds. Whatever you're comfortable with. It's really not about the brush. I mean, it will help you use that brush a little bit more fluidly because you're going to be using it quite a bit, but not about the brush. So then I have two things of water over here, one for wetting my pan and one for cleaning my brush. And then I have these ceramic dishes. You don't have to have these. You can use your pan. Mine's a little dirty, so I won't be using it today. In fact, it looks like I really need to clean it out, right? I like ceramic way better than I like this tin, so I got these on Amazon too. It's a tower of ceramic dishes. I'm not really even sure what they're for. They're probably for some type of like soy sauce or something, but I use them for watercolor and they're pretty awesome. So there's those. And then I have my Winsor & Newton pan here and that 5x7 cold pressed water paper. I want to say it's 160 GSM. I would have to look, but I'm pretty sure because most of the paper that I use is the same. So for today's purposes, we're only going to mix a couple of colors just to make sure that the video stays a little bit short and it doesn't get super boring, and also because I want to be able to show you what to do, just not for the whole pan. So I'm a big fan of purple, and I am not the best at mixing purples. Purple is a little bit hard for me. So I am going to do purples this morning. And I'm going to start with Alizarin Crimson. So I'm just going to go ahead and add water to that pan and load my brush up. And then I'm going to bring it into this ceramic dish here. And like I said, if you're working in your watercolor pan, you can just transfer it to your pan. That's cool, no worries. Whatever you're working on. Before I got these, I worked on plates, like little tea plates from the kitchen, and that worked just fine too. So before I start cleaning out my brush, I want to add just a block of the Alizarin Crimson, just so I know what the original color looks like. And if you've done classes with me before, you'll know that I also use the consistency chart that Jane Blundell provided, and that is the milk, tea, coffee, and cream. And I will find that for you just in case you have not heard me talk about it. So this just talks about water control, how much water control we have. So this has very little water and is very thick in pigment, and then it goes down in the scale. We want to live around coffee, which is kind of like a nice fluid, but it also has a lot of pigment. So if you see, there's a little bit of resistance when I move my brush around, but it definitely moves pretty easily. So that's what I am looking for whenever I am working on this exercise, and pretty much where I live when I'm working on most watercolor pieces, unless I'm glazing or putting a wash down or something that requires a lighter, or if I'm adding depth that will require a heavier pigment. So all right, so I'm going to choose let's see, ultra blue. That usually makes a pretty good purple. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did before, and I'm probably not dunking in the right thing anymore, but I'm going to put it in the same pan. So put this in here. I'm just going to load it up like I did the crimson. And if you want to keep track of what these colors are, you can add the micro pen to it, the archival pen, and that makes sure that it sticks around for a good long while and it's waterproof, so that helps too. All right, so I'm going to put that one over here. Oh, and I'm just a little bit light on the pigment. There. Okay. So we've got the Alizarin Crimson over here, we've got the Ultramarine over here, and this is where it gets fun. So we're going to start blending these two together in our pan, but when we do this, I'm just going to start with maybe just a little bit. And I'm just going to go ahead and add it there, and then I'm going to add a little bit more red, and then I'm going to just put that there, and then I'm going to add more red. And I'm going to put it there. And I'm going to do this until I'm satisfied that I've got a good blend. Because the whole goal of this is really to just make a lot of different colors and see all the different colors that you can make with it. So I'm just gonna keep trekking. Get into our blue a little bit more, see if we can get some of those darker purples. There we go. You can also start to add water to this. So once you've kind of got all of the ones that you could think of covered, you can go ahead and add some water. And that obviously is going to change the color too. Right now we're lighter. And now we can go in and we can add some more red to that water. So if we add a bunch of water and we don't squeegee it out, we get this. It's just too much water. So make sure that whenever you're mixing with additional water that you kind of get rid of some of it so that you don't get a puddle, because that's what that is. So these two are pretty similar, but if I go back over it, it'll make it darker, which makes it a little less similar. So you can always do that if you have a couple of that are looking the same. Get a little bit more water there, and I want to kind of pick up more of that red. Okay. So you kind of see that there's a nice little difference almost in every single color, which is awesome. And you could do this a long time. You could just keep going and mixing together. You can go back and add more pigment and make it more, make it darker. So the possibilities really are endless with this on how many colors you can actually make, or how many combinations you can make. But it's just a matter of going through and kind of playing with it and making it your own. You can do straight from the pan color. So you can also, I mean, you could do this whole page just with these two, just from adding more water or adding less water or doing combinations of both, right? So that's basically all you're going to do. It's actually kind of soothing and therapeutic, so that's nice if you're looking for almost like a calm down exercise in watercolor. This would definitely be a good calm down exercise in watercolor. I'm just keeping going so that I don't have to change my colors. You don't have to do that, right? You saw in my book that basically we were just doing one line per, and you can totally do that too. You could just do one line and then switch to a different pair. So like in my pan here, I have a couple of different red options. I have the Alizerian Crimson, which is the one we used, and then I also have the Permanent Rose. So you could also change that, or I have the Cadmium Red, and those are going to give you different colors. And actually here, I'll kind of give you a sample of what that looks like, and then I will leave you to your own devices today. So we'll start with a Cad Red. I'll just swap out to another pan, and Cad Red's are really kind of an orangish color on my pan, which is interesting because it shouldn't be so orange, but maybe that's just my eyeballs today. I'm not sure, but I think it looks very orange. All right, so let's put you on here. So there's my Cad Red, or at least that's what it says it is. All right, and then I've got Ultra Blue, I've got Cobalt Blue, I've got Cerulean, I've got Prussian, but for the sake of just trying to see the difference between this and what we're going to do, I'm going to stick with Ultramarine. just so that we have like one constant, and you can see the difference between what the Alizerian Crimson Red did and what the cadmium blue or the cadmium red's gonna do. So let's go ahead and add our ultramarine back over here, and then we're just gonna start mixing again. So we got and you'll find that we're gonna get a whole different set of colors, which is pretty amazing. Remember, we were trying for purple. That was our original goal. So there's the purple that these two make. That darker, almost a gray purple. And then we can add more water, right? So here's a lighter version of that. A lighter version of that. And some of that. And then we can also just go back in and add with barely any water. Okay, just to see how different those are. These are so rich in color as far as like creating those purples that are more of a red purple. And then these, because of that the pigment in the cadmium red, it gives you more of those gray purples, because we're almost dealing in tertiaries at this point, because there is such an orange tint to that cadmium red, and I'm not sure if that's on purpose from Winston and Newton or not. I'm sure that if I pulled another cadmium red, it would probably be a little bit more red, but in any event, that is the exercise. So if you would like to venture and explore this exercise, I welcome you to do that. It's a great exercise for all kinds of things, building all kinds of watercolor skills. You could probably also do this with acrylic paint if you are more of an acrylic painter, or even oil, to see what kind of muddy colors you can create, which would be very helpful. But if you're doing it in oil, definitely leave those books open for quite a long time so that you can get them to dry before you close them. All right, so until next time, happy creating.